Good. On the first property, number one, Gail Allen. Does that property have any, as I was reviewing a lot of these, there were some topographical issues with some of the properties. And I know in the past, in the previous meeting, we had some properties that were lowlands. And some of those were adjusted to a value and others were not. Are any of these properties, do these have topographical issues? Have we gone back and looked at creeks and those kind of things?
Yeah. Nothing else. We do have adjustments on the property. There's a minus 47% in the domain. And there is minus 32% on the bill side. On that man.
Okay, and I see it's still higher than some of the other comparables per acre. Is there a reason for that?
Referring to case one.
On case one,
Represent a range of possible values. The low end of the range in case one, you get 5763 per acre. The high end, case one would be at 2857 per acre. So anything in that range would generally be supported by the top, would actually indicate the new range. The highs and the lows pulling forward. The value is sitting pretty much in line with pump two, and what's pump three or four. I would say the range of those pump four.
okay. On case number two, there seemed to be some discrepancy and the owner said the measurements were of the property and what you guys calculated. Had you had any conversation with them about that? Okay.
I did not physically inspect any, if that would be desired.
So you haven't been back to physically measure the property? Okay. Anybody else have any questions while we're going through some of this? On case number three, I think we indicate we sent you back last time, thought the value was high. And looks like you've raised it some more.
We had one previously.
Once it was 11,347, updated at 13,778.
It had already been adjusted to that at the last meeting.
Okay.
The difference between the information we have in front of you today and what you had previously is the selection of pumps. Pumps were drawn entirely from the TTJ as requested by the the evaluation falls within range.
Did you check these other properties? Do they have any, well or septic on those other properties? Okay. I guess probably case 4 would be the same.
Yes.
Also case 5, which was settled, that's okay. Hmm, that's the hotel. Yeah.
There was no closer comparisons.
Okay, on number 11, I guess that being a commercial property, you went out of county to review that? There weren't anything any closer than, I guess, Rocky Mount and Kinley. Forest City, 237 miles away. Yes.
Here in the area, we do have to go outside of Henderson and Bates County to obtain information on the value of especially hotels, motels, things like that.
Okay. And you used a cap rate of 7% on that. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. Beginning, yeah. So the first, if I can, the first 3 columns are sales comparables. What I did is try to assess the quality and condition of the subject and then find the most comparables for the sales. And 4 and 5 are the ones that actually have cap rates attached to them that allow me to identify a range for cap rates for similar flag hotels.
Did you get information? It says here the mid-size hotel is 9.68 for 1 quarter. Is that, did you do an annualized cap rate or a quarterly?
The
Annualized?
Now, the appellant stated that it was a 9.68 cap rate. And that, the cap rate, and we can, when their evidence is given to you guys, I can go more in depth.
Okay. In case number 14, you indicated you had done a topography reduction of 30%, a shape reduction of 15%, and a 15% stream buffer reduction. What did that bring the per acre to in the stream buffer area?
Case 14.
Yes.
When I'm referring to a stream buffer reduction, that is to say that I applied the adjustment to the acreage generally for the presence of the stream buffer, so I can't differentiate the value in the buffer as outside the buffer. But in applying it to the whole thing. Is that what you're asking? You're asking for the value
Yeah, I think in some cases we'd identified the stream buffer and deducted that number of acres to basically a nominal number that was 200 an acre or whatever it was, and I didn't know.
I don't have any accounting of the stream buffer. What I do see is that there is a stream. And so my concern when there's a stream, it's not just the physical ground it's going to take up, but are you going to be able to work anywhere around it, near it? Are there going to be restrictions? And so I kind of consider that there's a strip moving through. That land would not be down. Managed by property. We typically would have higher acreage, just apply a percentage to that acreage. We're able to break it out, and that would not be our normal practice.
I've seen that done on some cases. That's why I was asking.
There is a wasteland on this parcel, which does typically involve things like green or wetlands, things like that. And that value is $606. I'm not sure if that is what you're referring to.
So wasteland is related to the PUD program, property that's in farm use. In that program, they define wasteland, and as we're moving, wasteland. So in that case, we would have the acres. There was six. What's the value?
$606.
For how many acres? 6 acres. Okay.
But what I'm referring to in the packet is not that per se. I'm referring to market side adjustment. It sits differently than that wasteland. Wasteland means PUD. And what I'm referring to 15% versus market.
Well, is this the property? Yeah. All right. So you employed a formula because this had, I believe, a site-built home, manufactured home. And so you did a 1 acre with the site-built home, a 1 acre with the home site. Is this all one plat?
Yeah.
So why the third 1 acre home site added into the 51 acres?
Got a 1 acre home site. You've got 5.81 acres in wooded acreage.
51.81 in wooded, okay.
And then there's 6 acres in waste because of the PUD. There's a 1/2 acre secondary site. Anytime you've got multiple improvements, each improvement's going to pick up a home site. So when there's an additional home, I guess a secondary home site, that home site will be valued at a lower rate than the primary home site, but it does carry some value.
The notes I have say you have a site-built house and 1 acre home site, manufactured house and 1 acre home site, and 1 acre home site and 51.81 residual acres.
I'm tracking with you now. So in trying to pull comparables for property with 2 homes and significant acreage, the odds of finding other similar property with similar acreage with similar homes, 2 of them, are very low. And so I can't just directly pull other properties with two homes and similar acreage and make those comparisons. Instead, I pull it apart and work the problem piece by piece. So, in order to get comparables to the site-built home, I find sales of site-built homes, sales that are similar, and they are sitting on home sites. They're getting the benefit of whatever home site they're sitting on, their own lots or own acreage. And so, for the purpose of being apples to apples, I've got to give a home site to that site-built home. If I pull just the improvement apart from its.
I understand the home site for the site-built home and for the secondary home. Why are we adding a site? Why are we adding a home site to the rest of the farmland?
So again, if I'm looking at vacant sale, then that land is holistic. When we value vacant land, we value it with the home site built into the model. Right, the modeling requires that multiple coding. So land works on a curve instead of a straight line. And this is how we are building that curve in. So again, if I'm going to compare it to property that's sold, presumably with the ability to be built, then I need to preserve that on my subject. I need to stay apples to apples. If I only compare just my residual against other sales, will always be low. It's in my favor to not put the home site on when I'm making that comparison. It would always make us even lower, but it's a false comparison. Our whole land value for compared to those whole land sales where we're apples to apples. So
If you were subdividing the property, I could understand that, but the property is not subdivided, it's one tract. You already have two home sites on the property. The requirement is you have one home site on the property. But the fact that he has a second residence on the property would say he has two. I can't follow the path of having three.
I don't have three homes.
That's what it says here.
Well, and it's possibly my fault for not communicating clearly. If you will look further into the packet, at the end, there's a reconciliation. There's a value allocated to a site-built house. There's value allocated to a manufacturer. There's a value allocated to a 1 acre home site. There's a value allocated to residual acreage. When you
Okay.
sum that value together, you come back to our assessed value. But that's not a line by line breakdown of how it's assessed in the property record card. What that's doing is it's reconciling three sets of comparables back together into a single value. And pull it apart, comp it, and put it back together to get the bottom line valuation. We're still living in the world of the comp grid rather than the world of the schedule of values that are part of the record card. So for example, you're only going to see the 1 acre home site there because in the calculation with comp grid, I don't get into secondary acres. I don't break it out into wooded versus waste versus anything else. Coding here does, but that's not the purpose of this reconciliation. I'm pulling the value apart so that I can be apples to apples with the home, apples to apples with the double wide, apples to apples with the land. And when I knit them back together, this is showing how it comes back together, but there are not three homes. That's the property, that would not be the property.
Unless my eyes are failing me. It says 1 acre home site and 51.81 residual acres. 1 acre home site valued at 32,000. The residual acres valued at 187,436. And then that transfers over to your combined assessment.
In the combined assessment, how many home sites?
You're showing one there. So why is the 32 in the original calculation?
So what I'm using for home site value is the home site value that we're putting assessing at 32,000. I'm adding that to each of the homes. For fairness sake, if I pulled those homes out at a home site, we would appear to be lower than we're not. I'm also, again, here below, trying to be transparent, make sure that we're not falsely appearing low.
Okay, so what you've done then, you've done is you've used it in your calculation, just like you would on a regular house. But then when you did the final math, you deducted it so that the square footage, I guess, price would be comparable to what another lot would be without the additional lot. Is it-
I've taken the questions, 3 questions. What is the one home worth? What is the second home worth? What is the land worth? But if I add them all together, you're gonna get 3 home sites. So when I combine them, I only carry the home site once.
Okay. All right, I understand that now. And on case number 24, this property, I believe, is out in the county, and all of your comps were in the city. Property is out in the county, and all the comps were in the city. The house comps. Again, that was one of those that was split up with the land and the house.
Indeed, they were. That is not preferential. That is a matter of not being able to get closer comps. I could probably get closer, but they would become so, to my mind, far from the subject and the qualities that I didn't want to use those. If I found something that seemed to be fairly comparable to the subject, fortunately, if they were quite far away, you are correct. 7 miles, 6 miles, 6 miles. Maybe Thompson, 11, 8 miles. Those are not my preference. If there are comps that are of similar quality but closer, I'm not aware of.
Melissa Shaw?
3 minutes. If you walk me shortly.
Okay, we now have a quorum. So I'll call this November 12th meeting of the Board of Equalization review to order. Sean, just to update, we've been asking our staff some questions on some of the properties. And somehow we can listen to the people that are here to talk about their property. We're up to speed. We'll start, there were seven cases that called ahead and reconciled, and we'll skip those when we go to those.
Apologize for my late. Had to do a lockup. Yeah.
All right, the first case is Gail Allen at 4010 Watkins Road.
I'm Gail, but I'm gonna let him speak for me,
Okay.
because I have no clue what's going on.
All right. They had the original value at 91,386, and it was updated to 59,322. In your opinion, the value was 36,344. You've indicated land does not perk.
Yes. You put it up one time today.
Uh, this land's, it's mostly crop production land. I got an insert there from the FSA. We tried to give my daughter an acre of it to build on, and none of the open land would perk. I went to the health department to get the documentation, and they couldn't find it. And the only way I could prove it is to have my daughter sign an affidavit that she was told that it wouldn't perk. I'm not saying that a septic system couldn't be put on it, but local health department would not write a permit for it. So you'd have to get a soil scientist to check it
Mr. Allen,
if it passes.
could you please give us your name and property, the residence, please?
What?
Your name and where you live?
John Allen, live at 2801 Community House Road, Oxford, North Carolina. If the soil scientist would pass on it, he'd probably write a permit for a septic system, at least $15,000. Could go as high as 35 or 40 if he wrote a drip system.
Did you make an application for a septic system or?
Yeah, she made an application to get it to perk, make sure that we could, before we deeded the land to her. And I went to get a copy from the health department. They couldn't find one. And Richard, my son-in-law, he's passed away, and the inspector that came out and looked at it, Mac, he's passed away. So, the only thing I can do is get an affidavit from Allison saying that it wouldn't perk. Got a farmer here that farms it, and he sticks his tractor if he gets out there. See where are we at?
So
Originally, the property was,
David's not in here, right?
do what?
It's not an affidavit in here.
No, I'd have to get her to sign one. Originally, let's see, I done lost my place here. And if they did write a drip system, you'd have to get it, looked at twice a year by an inspector. And it costs you about $75 a time. My, property was valued at, 91,386. It was dropped to 86,815 and then dropped to 59,322. Last year was valued at 36,344 and received an offer from a real estate investment company for $38,094.70. And I think $45,000 for it would be about a 20% increase.
That offer is attached here.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay. So we got an offer on the property at 38,000. Any other information you want to bring forward on this property?
However, there was no evidence for that, so we did not discount the property for no perk situation. We have submitted full comparables. From 3 miles to 11 miles away from the subject property. They also range from 5,763 per acre to 6,857 per acre. Currently, we have the assessed, our assessed value is at $6,091 per acre. That falls right between the range in our range, two comps below and 2 comps above. We had not received any evidence of an offer. That was never given to the tax holder.
I just received it 2 weeks ago.
However, with that being said, we did lower the value from $91,386 all the way down to $59,322. And then it's our opinion that we uphold the value of $59,322 given the taking care of it.
May I ask, was the property offered for sale?
No,
Was that-
no.
The offer came in unsolicited.
Also, the date of the offer was October 20. Is it 2 weeks? The 24th. Mhm. I mean, this is consistent with what you're saying as far as the value of the property.
Right.
However, by law, we have to judge as of no later than January 1st of 2024 would be an assessment date. So this occurring in October, it doesn't qualify. Is that correct?
Well, but I would also say, how many of these offers do you get a month?
Maybe 2 a year, 3 a year, something.
I get average 2 a week on my vacant land, and they're all over the place. So I'm not sure that this offer shows of anything of value as it relates to what we're looking at here.
So what would be the pleasure of the board? What I would encourage you to do is to get something from the health department. They should be able to go back and find it.
Yeah, I can, it's a neighbor that's got land adjoined to this land. 2 weeks ago, he tried to have a spot perked on this, the land that's adjacent to mine for, his daughter to, build a house on. And that didn't perk.
I know that Watkins area, there's a lot of property that
Yeah.
marginal.
All right, thank you.
Okay. What do we want? Okay, so that's your motion. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to leave it at 59,322. And we can go from there if we have any. If next year, if you want to get that letter, then if you want to get a letter for next year, in the meantime, as of January, you can file an appeal again. Okay, all right, the next one is, oh, okay, I'm sorry. We have motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next we have, 2801 Community House Road. That's John Allen.
John Allen?
Just number two.
He's got six.
It's a different.
John Allen, 2801 Community House Road.
We just did some vacant land. All right.
This property, y'all have comps to, 3 properties in the city limits. We're out in the county. 2 of them on Chestnut Street and 1 is on Willowwood Drive. None of them are like the construction of my house. My house is a L-shaped, building 16 feet wide, built with 2x4 studs at 2 feet on center. The house couldn't be built today due to codes. It couldn't be turned into an open concept house due to all the walls are load bearing except for 4. And a couple downstairs and a couple upstairs. No room is bigger than 16 by 12. It has 1 bath that is a 6 by 6 room. It is heated by a wood boiler. Only the boiler fan is operable on the gas pack furnace. Chose not to update the furnace due to $19,000 cost to replace. I've replaced 4 of them. They don't last but 7 to 10 years. The furnace is actually not on the property. I have a picture in there of the wood boiler. It's on family property. Septic system is only about 20 feet of it is on the property. And the rest of the system is on family property. It runs 150 feet right straight out and has a 10 by 10 pit, 8 feet deep with filled gravel in the pipe in it.
Okay.
Couldn't really on that lot The only septic you could add would be maybe 3 15-foot lines because of the way the house is situated and the well and the house was actually moved there. You know, it was on steel beams and axles. I bought it from property up at Vance Community College. Had it moved there. I guess you consider it an off-frame modular if you wanted to. It was built somewhere else and offloaded on the lot. The house and the property was appraised for $74,000. I have a copy of the appraisal a few years ago. Last year, tax value was $34,921. They updated the value to $202,332. That's a heck of an increase there. I think the value should be closer to 88. That's like a 20% increase.
Where's this house located?
What?
Where's this located at?
Say out in Watches Community, 2801 Community House Road.
Yeah, out of county. It says in here, said you indicated the property is about 1,800 square feet, and they've indicated it 2,744 square feet.
Well, it's the footprint. I got the footprint in there. It's closer to 20. I don't think it goes 27. It's like it's
4,586.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that from the appraisal?
Razor, yeah.
Chairman Probin, we have not had an opportunity to review the appraisal. It might be useful if we could see a copy.
The appraisal is dated 2018. But the sketch of it would still apply. Mhm. You have extra copy that they can look at? Sounds, what I'm hearing from you is has some functional obsolescence.
Ask them what?
Has some functional obsolescence.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
It might make a good building lot for somebody else.
If it'll perk.
Yeah, if you can get it perked now. Wallace Vaughn got it perked for us.
So did, when you filed the appeal, to the tax office and they were under review, did anyone ever go inside the house to look at?
I never saw anybody come. No.
You guys want time to review this some more?
Yes. I would like to do that. To make sure the square footage is right, and since I have an opportunity, if you don't mind, I'm interested as well in the condition of the home. In your appeal, you said it was renovated in 2018. May I ask what you mean
Just
by
add,
renovation?
well, it was renovated in when we moved the house there. I can't remember. Anyway, we renovated it then, but we put siding on and just added siding to it. That's what.
Anything beyond the site?
No.
So, I will say for the board's benefit, ordinarily when I hear renovation, I'm thinking about more than siding. To me, siding is part of the maintenance and upkeep of a home over its lifetime. And so I think that's relevant to our value. Yes, I would like the time to review and come back.
Well, we'll leave that one open. You can get in touch with, Mr. Allen here. And you can evaluate that and you can bring that back to us at a later date. Next property we have, Mr. Allen, is off that old Epsom Road, that triangle lot.
Is that parcel 10001?
Yes.
All right. It was valued at $4,000 last year. It's directly across from the Indiana Avenue you got me comp with. It I think it's 12,857 per acre. Uh, by the way, we're no longer in the EGA or ETJ.
I'm just reading that. Mr. Carey, you have that statute before you?
Looking at the bill.
Okay.
Did
Did this pass?
October 1st, 24.
October 1st of 25.
You don't see it. It says October 20. It's at the bottom sheet, second sheet. I provided a picture of the lot that you had me comp to. It's right across the road from Edward Street. I was standing on my property when I took the picture. And that lot has a well and a septic tank on it. It's I think it's stated here it was a part wooded lot with an unavailable house. The house, the roof and all caved in. I think they burned that up, and it's several tires still left on the lot. The wooded part is two great myrtle trees and two old trees that have decayed and fell down. If you look
That was comp what? That was the comp on
up
Edwards?
to Indiana Avenue,
Okay.
parcel 03003. Uh, that lot actually, if you look at the wood line behind it, that's land owned by me. That's valued at $7,630. Parcel 10001 reassessed value was 13,778. It's a 0.780 acre parcel. And 003 is a 0.350 acre lot, but it's got a well and a septic tank on it. And that's valued at $4,500. I can't understand how a wooded lot with just 0.430 acres more is worth $9,278 more than a lot with the well and septic tank.
I'm
I think it's more in line about $8,000.
kind of taken back these values too in this area of town. It's I'm having trouble finding getting these numbers to make sense.
Yeah, that's like it's over two and 300% increase.
I mean, I understand the increases, there were a lot of increases in the town, but these, I'm just not following these too good right now.
Mr. Chair, best I can tell, this bill was referred to the Committee on Rules, June 13th, 2023, and nothing else has happened.
Not pass, okay.
It doesn't state at the bottom that it's been eliminated. On the second
It
page.
never passed. This was a bill that was proposed. This is what you got, the document you got, it's an analysis document. but it doesn't look like it passed through. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
Oh, we're going to do, parcel 12001.
Yeah, I think that's, 1, 2, yeah. So I guess my concern is the values that arrived at these properties based on location. Gupton Lane is 2.5 miles away
Mobile home subdivision.
in a subdivision,
It's mobile home subdivision.
home subdivision. And I guess I'm having problems with the comps, is what I'm having problems with. And this area, the properties. You know, the property on Indiana Avenue sold for $4,500. And it's 0.35 acres. And so you've done a calculation to create a per acre value, and that to me is not necessarily, doesn't make sense. I mean, I think the lots in this area, the $4,500 is probably market. And whether the lots of 4/10 of an acre or 3/4 of an acre, this one particularly having an irregular shape, I don't believe, I don't believe this lot would be valued at this amount. And similarly, a lot of these other properties that he's got in that area right there. So what would you guys like to do? When your recommendation was maintain the value.
Is it large enough to put a house on?
It's 3/4 of an acre, but it's got roads all the way around it. So you've got setbacks depending on which roads are active.
Has there been a perk test on these lots?
Yeah, and again, it doesn't have sewer. That's CTJ. That's right.
Yeah, so,
No sewer.
so
That's out down right below.
how are we? If the lot has not been perk tested, how do you put a value on it?
They're basing it based on the amount of acreage and assuming that it'll perk.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Exactly. I mean,
The point is that lot may be worth zero.
and you know,
Actually, the Chavaz property it's got 2 creeks running through it. And it's a floodplain. I've seen 4 feet of water in there when you have torrential rains. It's a watershed for JP Taylor Road.
well, I'm struggling with this old Epsom Road property number 10001. I can't get where you guys are. And so I'd say there needs to be some more work done on that.
Are you requesting, home selection or you're requesting reduction?
What I'm thinking is we need a reduction. I mean, you've got the first comp you've got sold for $4,500, and you could probably throw a rock to it from this one.
Yeah. I mean, you just walk 20 feet across the road.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to me that this property sold for $4,500 and you're thinking the property right across the road from it's worth 17.6. The math just doesn't make sense there.
And all the rest of these properties are joined to each other, right?
They're all right there within, like I say, rock throwing distance, most of these properties. I just think you've got it wrong.
Or, I do have a question. Did he submit comps? Do you want? Did you have a comparison that is to you guys? Or what was the evidence? He had not received any evidence from the.
Well, I think the first case was that you had it listed as in the city and you'd compared it to lots in the city with water and sewer.
Yeah.
And so we asked you to go back and take another look at it. And now you've come back and with no change. And so that in itself doesn't make sense. If you know, and you made some comment about it was a developable lot. But developable lot means that, yeah, you could maybe get a perk test and you maybe could put a well on it, but that's a cost. Where when you've got a city lot that already has water and sewer, that lot is already developed. So making adjustments in that case,
You guys gave me a comp, correct?
We shared our comps with the appellant. I would say when it comes to the approach that was taken in the revaluation, this was taken across the county, is that we don't require that the land be perked. We're required to be an unperked to prove that there is not. And so I totally get the argument and I totally get the concern. The reality is that if you have a piece of land that's never been perked, you have no idea which way it is. You could choose either model. I would say if you presume the majority of land to be perkable, then you should default to the perk lot and let the other be the exception. If you think that most things just don't perk and the exception is a perkable lot, then that will be the appropriate course. So what we've done is assume perkable lot. And when someone shows evidence that it can't be built on, then that's when we make the adjustment. So that's the situation here. I can certainly see the concern given the small size of the lot, that there's not a lot to work with there. There are any problems. And I would like to make clear that my understanding of the assignment was to provide the board with sales drawn entirely from the ETJ. And so I filtered through and only considered sales if they were in the ETJ. In all cases, the values came back within the ranges of these sales. So I didn't feel at liberty to make changes since they had already been before the board. I may have misunderstood. It may be that you wanted me to make changes. If it had been outside of the range, I would have offered it. But with it being within the range, I wanted to bring that back before the board. So I apologize if I was mistaken in the understanding of the assignment. I certainly have concern with a lot of the comparables, but again, with the limitation of pulling big comps, there were just not as many for me to choose from. And I think that you have a very valid point about the selling price of the one comp that's close.
and the second comp also,
Um,
and the second comp also. Kings Road.
But it's 4.38 miles away, and I'm not so sure, but your point about the lot value, yes. I would prefer to see sales flat rather than a rate when you're talking about something so small. You're not talking about a large acreage tract. But that's the way that we were set up to start with. I didn't change anything except the comparables, make sure they're in ETJ. So I will gladly go back, try to find some different comps, and also suggest a reduction in value. I appreciate your patience with my speech. I say all this to say that you're going to see a repetitive theme with the properties that Mr. Allen has.
That's correct.
This will be very similar to the others. I don't know the board's wishes, if you want to go through this individually, or if that's something you'd like me to bring back.
Well, I think at this point, if Mr. Allen's in agreement, you guys need to get together. You need to see this vast property that's considered a flood zone. And you need to actually evaluate those properties and then get back to us. Would that be okay?
Yes, fine with me.
And I think it also is fair to ask Mr. Allen to provide our staff with all the information that he's given us today before they go and sit down and meet.
Let me ask you this. If I heard what you said, and I'm trying to boil it down narrowly, the value of this lot could change tremendously if it didn't perk.
Absolutely.
So in essence, if he brings back anything that shows where these lots don't perk, it would absolutely change the lot's value tremendously.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good. So that would take care of the properties under appeal, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7. You'd indicated prior to the meeting today that the property on Indiana Avenue you were okay with?
Yep.
Okay, so the properties, 3, 4, 6, and 7.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Next, we have Mr. Johnson. Is Mr. Johnson here today? Okay. Mr. Johnson has properties at 215 Shank Street, within 100 feet at Shank Street. You've got the information that's been provided by the county. What would be the pleasure of the board?
He's properly notified to be here today.
And we spoke about it. I don't think he went got appraisal like he said he was gonna do. And
Okay.
just so you know, his bill, these two properties combined is less than $20 more than it was last year. It's not that big of a difference.
Okay, so we'll take,
Make a motion to accept the, evaluation.
on 215 Shank Street and the 100 feet off of Shank Street?
Yes, on both properties.
Okay, so both of those. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? That one carries. Juanita Fogg,
Last time she appeared, she said she would get an appraisal. I told her she got one to come by the office, and she's had no communication with us since the last,
okay, and it's been how many days since her last, that was on September 25th? And I think we talked and discussed 30 days to get notification to us. So what would be the pleasure of the board? Okay, do we want to accept the assessor's recommendation of $73,500?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry.
All in favor, aye, or discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That one's approved. Divine Hospitality LLC,
they have representation out of state. They contacted me. They gave me new information, and I sent that over to Kenny, and Kenny was in contact with them. And then he can speak to that.
We had email back and forth, and I had indicated that there would be no change in value, and we will see you at boards.
okay. Were they using a third party to help their process?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're familiar with the process? So what would be the pleasure of the board? Move forward. Okay, we have a motion
Let me
to,
ask you a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
we have a motion to maintain 2.565603 is the value. Is there a second
I'm sorry.
discussion?
Yeah, my question would be, you said that they had a private attorney that was looking at it for them and stuff like that?
Correct.
Okay, and when was the last time you got heard from them?
Then most likely about a month ago, when we had continued this case. They had, they were supposed to appear, at board meeting in September, correct? And they did not show up then. At that point, we had communication back and forth, and they are not here today.
Okay, but they were aware that the hearing will be today.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Value maintained. Tommy Purnell, 2010 Kitchell Road. Give us 1 second. I'll grab some water.
Yes, good evening. I got 4 different partials.
Give us your name and address for the record.
Excuse me, Tommy Purnell, 2010 Kittrell Road, Kittrell. All right, I originally had 4 different properties. Mr. Aiken and I have spoke on the phone. I agreed to one of them. I've just got to get the paper signed and back to the office. That was,
Not on this list.
parcel number 03009.
First case we got is your 2010 Kitchell Road.
Yes,
Got
sir.
an original value of 242,487, updated to 180,888. Your opinion of value is 173,115. What you got for us? This is case number 12.
The biggest question I've got on this property is the valuation of the lot. Valuing the lot at $32,000. I have found no comps or anything supporting this value. I was just asking how it come to be.
It seems to be a theme in our area. Can you guys talk about that?
So when you're setting up land values, valuation, you divide the market into market areas. You look at land sales at that time, and you come up with a system of land values that includes home site acres, acres. Seems to best fit sales you have in hand. Often there's a variety of sales that you're trying to model. At that time when the area was set up, the market area was set up, it was set at 32,000, set at 30,000 global. So anyone that in the 294 market area has 32,000 as their base. When I'm performing a review, there's not one I can do with base values without quickly getting out of equalization with everyone else in the community. And so what I look for are defect to the property, and then I look for the overall value based on comparable sales. I will say that it's possible for an appraiser to review an area and maybe value the homes a little bit higher and the land a little bit lower and come to a market level. Another appraiser might be in the area and value kind of in the reverse, but end up at a market level. So for me, my goal is to make sure that the total property is at a market level, and that if there's anything specific to that property, there's a defect that defect is considered. That's what we pumped out to 32,000 home site, because I don't think it would be appropriate for me to change the home site for one property owner without changing the home site for all within that same market area.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Somewhat. Have there been any lots sold in my area for $32,000?
I've not examined that. I do not know.
Isn't that a basis for determining that value?
That is one basis. So you have two kind of main approaches. One is the direct observation of sales. So if I've got lots selling for 32,000, then I've got market evidence for 32,000. If they're selling for 40, if they're selling for 25, that's market value for that. But at the same time, you may not always go on that alone. But on the prior contribution, make model. So if I'm valuing pure land, then that's what I've got. But if I'm valuing approved land, then it's a model equation. Where I need to have certain land values that make the model. Yeah. So for example, you may say that 20% of an approved sale might be a land value. I don't know that necessarily is, but that might work well in building a model, so that the model reproduce itself. That's this is again, had it been a vacant property, I'll be looking at sale. Has improved lot. They have their own land values and mixed in with their improved values, just like the subject.
Dan,
Yes.
just for clarification, and I'm trying to get my mind around this. So we're talking about a value of $7,000 difference, which equals how much tax?
$49,
$49.
think, is that right? Maybe, 71
So
cents.
we're sitting here arguing about $49? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
I'm here presenting the case about valuation of property.
I'm just clarifying facts. I just want to know why I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here for $49.
This is, 110 Kitchener. That's if you take the difference. He's saying it's worth 173, they've got it at 181.
7,000.
Do you have, what, have you got any lot appraisals or anything? I mean, what your case was that you thought the lot was overvalued? Do you have any comps or anything to?
No, sir, I only have the comps that, Mr. Aiken supply.
What?
Um,
Okay.
and he's got 3 of them from the city and 1 of them in the county.
I guess that's one of the things about mass appraisal is you've got some variances, but in the end, you try to get as close as you can.
Can I ask our appraiser something?
Yes.
So, in essence, one way of getting this done is a certified appraisal. And if you had a certified appraisal, the cost of that to get done would be approximately how much money? $500 to $1,000?
500 or like this 1,000.
Yes.
500?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to verify if you got a survey, what it would cost.
All right. So the lot value is based on the schedule of values, basically, is what I think I understood you to explain, correct?
It is.
For the values in that area and that classification. So that's consistent with everybody else's. So short of any appraisal information that would give us anything else, we have to stick by statute and go with what that says.
Okay.
So, that's about all we can do there. So what would pleasure, board, stay the same? Okay.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. What's next, Tom? That's Yeah, it's number 13, which is 15.77 acres. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the one we were talking about, I guess, before we started our meeting. And we were talking about adjustments based on topography and creek buffers and those kind of things.
And if I may, since the time that the packets were made for the board, we'll continue to be in correspondence and continue to receive evidence and work on it in the hope of being as fair to the appellant and sure everything is accurate. I believe that you're probably seeing a value at 102,761 on page 13.
The value I'm seeing is 90,675.
I just wanted to make sure I have something. I just wanted to make sure that we were in sync with one another. But yes, your number is correct. It's 90,675.
All right.
And it was reduced from what?
Well, it was originally at 127,269, and apparently at the point of the process when this was produced, it was a little bit higher. It was at 102,762. But now down to 90,675. I just wanted to make sure the board had the current number on that.
Yeah.
So reduce it some more?
Sorry.
You actually reduce it some more?
Yeah. Same property. That's a different one.
90,675.
Yeah, no, it's 210
That
Fisher
is correct.
That's his address. That's his house
Oh,
address.
okay.
This is a different
I
property.
was looking at.
This is, okay. So do you have access to this topo?
Yes.
And you can see how close these lines are together?
As
I guess,
Currently, the woodland has a minus 52% adjustment overall on that landline. You can see that on each day on PRC,
on what now?
the parcel record chart, property record chart, AEJ, right? That shows the adjustment, the total adjustment. That's the thing.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have that in our documentation.
I can.
You have a minus 23, then you got a minus 52. What's
Correct, so, the minus 52 is an overall adjustment on that property record, or that landline. So, you got the minus 30 for the photography on Woodland, and then a minus 15 in the other adjustment, which appears to be for the power lines, which comes out to that total adjustment.
Property also has two creeks in it.
any fish in it?
No.
Okay,
break it down because the card sometimes obscures in the other category. We reduced 30% for the photography, reduced 15% for the training, reduced 5% for local easement. We reduced another 13% and trying to bring it into sales.
and you ended up at 57.50 an acre. The land that's 4/10 of a mile from it sold for 5,000 an acre and apparently did not have those adjustments. Is that correct?
That one, see which one, that's the height plan and control.
Yes.
That is, I think an important sale. I weighted my value towards that sale, but it's also very odd sale. It seems to be a very prime tract selling out a very small value. And so I researched area land sales and I can duplicate it. I know
I'm seeing-
property selling for this amount with a serious defect. So I'm not exactly sure why it sold so low. But I did like forward to this.
But, so what I'm seeing is the closest comp is at $5,082 per acre. You've got this assessed at $5,750 an acre. And you're telling me you've done a 30 and a 23% adjustment on it to decrease it. That just, math doesn't make sense right there.
It's another property right there, 2/10 of a mile, 0.26 miles. It was sold for 41.50 an acre. That was sold in this year, 24.
Okay, so that was outside of the value period. That sold in 24.
And that sold high because the man was trying to get a right of way to existing property he already had.
Yeah.
Back to my 15.77 acres. The topography, a third of the property is so steep. It's the only thing good for is a ski slope. Unfortunately, we don't have snow enough for a ski slope.
That's what your GIS map shows, the topography being very steep.
Yes.
These are all.
You do have minus 30% adjustment for topography.
You do? All right, so explain to me how the 5,082 per acre, and this ends up at 5,750 per acre, which means you had to have started somewhere in the, what, 68, $7,000 range?
Was that 8 something in the beginning?
You weigh the property. One of the questions that came up during our discussion with the seller was that sale, and I'm weighted towards because of this was also remarkably low. And I said, well, I'm gonna look for other close sales if I can find any support that sale being different normal market transaction or reduce it further. What I found in looking for close sale, I found a sale that was 6 miles away, parcel 04700310. I provided this information for now, but it was after your packets were already prepared. I couldn't put it in your packet; they were already done. But he had been provided. His mother came by, picked up some documents. I provided those. So he's aware of a sale just a quarter-mile away, which is half the distance to the sale that we're referencing. Now, it's sold for $4,150 an acre, but it only has a driveway which runs to the road.
Okay,
All
this,
that you need to get to the road with the driveway.
he gave us a picture of that. He gave us a picture of that.
Yep, so he's got that in his materials. It has the severe irregular shape and steep topography. It's crossed by a stream, and it's at 4,150.
Right.
And it seems to me that $850 per acre difference is not appropriate to go from what is a very, very rough parcel, half the distance away from what we're talking about. It is very, very prime parcel, level land, road frontage on 3 sides. It looks like a great development parcel. So those two sales just don't make sense to one another, but they're very, very close. Again, what we're talking about is away. So in continuing to research close by, I found a comparable at 1.75 miles away, so range, and it sold for $5,192, so just a little bit more than the sale that we're talking about. But it had radical steep topography. It had a stream buffer going across it. I provided him with another sale, which was at 3.25 miles away. So we're kind of beginning to break the limit of what I'm looking for.
But you said the previous one was 5,000 what, 100?
5,102. Again, we've got some serious defects.
$800 difference.
Yeah, per acre. I mean,
I agree with the president.
Provided him with an additional comparable that sold for $4,929, so almost identical in price. Again, it only has a driveway width frontage on the road, has a regular shape, steep topography, it's got a stream across it. I can't understand why these three really rough parcels sold flat on that really prime parcel. One of these things is not like the other. I think the prime parcel, there's something I don't know about that sale that will explain why it's so low. That realistically, it should have sold quite a bit more, but these are probably indicative of the market. They're also supported by other sales that are already provided. It would be in your packet, but the packet was already prepared. I did provide it with, because I wanted to be able to speak plainly and for them to know what we're looking at. For that reason, there are serious problems with that $5,000 per acre parcel, yet I included it and weighted it in my value to give them every benefit.
I mean, I'm trying to still figure out how we made these adjustments to this property and it's still up at 5750. That's what I'm struggling with. Hmm. It's just a little part of the rest of it.
So the open land begins with a base rate of $8,000 an acre. Wooded begins with a base rate of 7,600 an acre. And there is the presumption of a home site. This is again part of our model. It creates a curve for land value rather than a straight line for land that they are moved for curves. And so when you take those and you begin to adjust and pull those down by the percentages given, that's the resultant value. Now, if it's unbuildable, then we can take the home site off. That would reduce it. But otherwise, the 8,000 and 7,600, those are what we're thinking prime land would be. That's 8 plus the input of being able to build. That's that home site acre on there. I'm not aware of any concern that it would not be built for any evidence that it could not.
Yeah, I guess I did quite a bit of research in land values and seem to be all over the place. And, so that's why I'm kind of concerned with that. And so you've got now the lot value of the $32,000 lot value. That then is changed to when he's in
Or this one is, this particular property is an undeveloped build site, at 27,250.
okay, now, but when he goes to present use, that's discarded, correct?
So if it's, and I don't know if there's a better person to speak to present.
With the present use, the undeveloped buildable site, it has
One's
one
covered,
acre,
it's covered in agriculture.
it's covered in agriculture.
Yeah, so he doesn't pay taxes on it.
So he's covered in the present use with the value of that. Okay,
Yes.
so you aren't taking that 27,000 into, that's not in his calculation. It's calculated at present use.
This entire parcel, has a present use of 5,936.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
What's the pleasure?
Motion stay the same.
A motion, second. Okay. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries. All right,
Excuse me.
yes,
What was the motion again?
to maintain the value of 90,675.
Okay.
All right, you've got 1808, 1904. that 24.44 acres? No,
Yes, sir.
that's the one you resolved, okay. 1808, 1904.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what you got there?
I heard you all discussing before public meeting started about the home site. I did not understand is answering you on why the third home site was on it. But if you did, okay.
So does he have access to the sheet, the summary sheet?
Yes.
You've got the combined asset assessment back page,
Let me find that.
case number 14 we're looking at.
Page 14, yes, sir. I have a sheet with assessors reconciliation.
Okay, all right, if you look on the right side of that, the combined assessment,
Yeah, okay, I got it.
all right, you'll see the site-built house. They've only got the value of 97,590. For the manufactured house, they've got the value of 56,002. And they have you assessed with one acre home site at 32,000. And then they have the 51 residual acres, bringing the total to 373,028. So while they used that 32,000 in the two assessments, when the reconciliation, they deducted it when they did the combined assessment.
Okay,
Does that make sense now?
semi.
Semi,
I ain't the smartest cookie around here.
okay? All right. Do you have anything else you want to discuss on that one?
Well, I don't agree with the prices of the houses. But we have comps that he supplied, or the committee supplied.
Comps what?
There are comps here available that, I think Mr. Aiken and I were discussing on the phone. My house, the site built house is built in about 1911. No electrical updates. I did update the heating system. But that's all.
Okay. All right, did you guys have any adjustments for functional obsolescence?
Just for functional obsolescence, the model comprehends the age of the home for anything that would be typical for that time period. So I would presume that as a 1911 home, that would be kind of built into that depreciation.
Does your sheet have, you said heat, do you have the $3,500 for heat figured in?
Yeah, it's 7,515 wrong value, and then it calculates the depreciation and
Net depreciation on 1911 at an average condition is 50%. For the schedule value.
Okay. But did you say you've got heat in the house?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Right, so. $1,670 feet. The other one was. Okay. All right, do you have any other comparables?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So what would be the pleasure? Do the same. We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Okay, so that's gonna pay for 373,028, and the land use is 224,863. All right. That's all of those you had, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
That's it. That's all for that one. Next, we have Teresa Paget. Start with case number 15.
Yes, my name is Teresa Paget. I live at 180 Willow Oak Drive, Henderson, North Carolina. And, Mr. Aiken emailed me some specs, and I didn't agree with them. Parcel number 00280310. What? You know what, I need to give y'all these two, so y'all.
So we're looking at, the first one we're looking at is 03011.
This email I'm sent to him.
Whose was this last one? Yeah, I got that one. You had this, I bet you sure.
Yes, the first one is 00280310. It's a lot that
Okay, let's go by 03011. That's the first one we have.
10.
Huh?
It's on the email, the last page that I give you.
Okay, what I have is parcel 0028-03011, 1019 Lehman Street.
Okay, we'll go to that. What is that number?
Case number 15. If you have,
Are you looking at the email?
and I'm looking at my agenda and the number that's on that.
Her case numbering may be different, since it was sent preliminary. Case numbering may have been revised, she's received from that.
The one we got last time for case 17. Okay.
So,
I got it right here.
okay, so the one you're talking about 0310 would be case number 17.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. I'm looking at the email I mailed to him last night. I don't accept that value. I submitted some comparables, but he said they were private sales, so it didn't count, and then MLS. And, it's a matter of opinion of private sales, I feel like, but that house is, and I feel like private sales in Vance County is like 55 to 65% of the houses here. That house is in need of repairs. It needs a new roof. It needs, the flooring in it is unlevel, needs to be leveled up. The bathroom is pretty level.
Which property are you on?
1019 Lehman Street, the one you just, the first one you said.
Okay, all right.
It needs new windows in it, to bring it up to the value of $85,820 that he, said it was valued at. I think it's more like around $50,500 value.
So your previous value was 65,000. Now you say it's worth how much?
I said $50,500 is what I feel like is the value of it.
Okay, so you've changed since you made your original appeal.
Yeah, since it needs so much work done to it.
Okay. What have you guys got?
Thank you, Ford. Yeah, I actually had submitted several comparable sales, most of which were private sales, which we do not account for in our assessment of a property. The two which were not private sales, which were actually market sales, sold $81.12 per square foot and $148.88 square foot. And that the $148.88 was actually adjusted by 12. We subtracted 12,000 from that. With that being said, our comparables were market sales. They were within 1 mile of the subject property. So $71.37 per square foot, $79.16 per square foot. The acreage on all these properties is actually substantially less than the subject property. The square footage range is within 100 square foot of our subject. With that being said, the value under appeal was 117,341, yet decreased that to 85,820. And it is our recommendation to uphold that value of 85,820.
What was the basis for that reduction?
It appears we had adjusted a EO 30 on the structure to align with the comparator.
It was based on the comparables poll, that economic obsolescence was bringing in line.
Okay, so that property is consistent with your comparables, is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and the comps you have were off market. Ms. Paget made a comment that she felt that 50 to 60% of the rental sales were off market sales. Do you guys have any numbers on that?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I would suggest that even if you were to have a very high number of off-market sales, this came up back in 08 or 09, there were a ton of foreclosures processing through. And as long as you have a sufficient number of traditionally marketed sales that are on the MLS, I would think you would always want to use a properly marketed sale versus a private sale. If you had nothing else to work with, then I don't think you'd have any choices, but why not choose the better marketed property as your base?
okay. Ms. Paget, do you have anything else on this?
On this property.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's just like I said, stated before, in October's private sales is a matter of opinion. It's not documented anywhere that I could find.
And I think this, we've been consistent in using market sales throughout this whole appraisal process. So we have to kind of stay within those standards.
How do you stay within the standards when there's not a rule on it that you can't use private sales? Is that a rule as you go, make it as you go?
If there are market sales available, we would rather use those.
Rather.
Is that in the standard of values? Is that in the standard of values?
I do not know. I do not know. It's a very common practice, but I do not know.
Okay. All right.
Are you looking for a motion?
Motion.
You want to make the motion to, I'm going along with what the appraiser said.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're gonna maintain the recommended value of $85,820.
So what is the next step after hearing here about the value?
What your next step would be, you would appeal to the state, to the board, and you can get that information for the address and all for that process. And you'll get a letter in the mail that will, give you that information so that you can proceed with that process.
Okay, and so just see them about to appeal it to a higher level.
Now, you'll be getting a letter, a formal notice in the mail that will be the trigger for you to go up to the state level at the
Okay.
PTC.
All right.
All right, do you want to, discuss these other properties you have?
Yes.
Okay. Next one you have is 606 South Park Avenue, case number 16.
Yes. That house, was compared, my comparable was private sales, and there may have been some that was MLS. The house is, like I said, in need of a roof. The flooring needs to be level. The bathroom is level. The windows are good. The walls need work. And I feel like $50,500 is a good price point for that one.
Ms. Paget, how much do you rent this house for a month?
That's personal.
Okay. So you guys,
I have rented for as much as $525 a month.
How much?
I have rented for as much as $525 a month.
okay, so you guys, is this pretty much the same as the other properties?
Yes.
She had off-market comparables and, okay. What would be the pleasure?
Stay the same.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Will maintain a value of $70,106 as per recommendation of the assessors. Next property is 1318 Lehman Street.
Mhm. That house does have a new roof, but it's very, the pricing point is a little bit off. I think that was worth around $60,500.
And your previous value, opinion of value was $28,500.
Yeah, since, I mean, we did make some adjustments to it.
Okay. And
Those figures come off of the tax value from last year.
all right,
So 177, now it's 64?
Correct.
That's correct? And you think it should be what?
$60,500. And what did you say it was at now?
64,185.
Yeah, would have said we were real close.
Okay. So you okay with that one, or do you want to appeal it further?
I will appeal it further.
Okay. So you don't have any comps other than your off-market? There were no
That's
comps
it.
provided for this?
I don't know if they were all off market or not,
All right, I think they were.
because I can't tell on one, whether they're off market or not. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, there was one that was 506 Hickory Street that was in very poor condition, and then there was three insufficient market, off-market sales. So what would be the pleasure?
Stay the same.
Okay, we have a motion to maintain the recommended value of 64,185. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The value is 64,185. Next, we have 811 South Carolina Avenue. And your value, opinion of value was what?
It was 72.8.
26. It was changed to 55,831. And it said your opinion of value was 28,500.
Yeah, well, I raised that up to 45.8.
Okay. All right. Do you have any basis for that value?
It needs a roof, needs some remodeling.
Okay. Now,
Windows are good in it.
all right. So what was the basis for your reduction?
We actually have adjusted this property to fair condition from average. And that would be the reduction in value that you're seeing.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other discussion on that one? It's a pleasure of the board. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion. We have a second. To maintain the value of $55,831. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have 624 Wicksboro Road.
Yes, I don't know how they come to that evaluation. I own 180 Willowwood Drive, 624 Vicksburg Road, my daughter lives in. 180 is largest lot size, 180 is 254 square feet larger. 180 has 2 bedrooms, 624 has, 2 bathrooms. 180 has 2 full baths, 624 has only 1 bath. And both houses only 1.8 miles apart. I don't know how they come up with those numbers. That one house is larger and the other house is more valued.
Okay,
I feel like the value is, if you take the 254 square feet and multiplied by the 98.44 that they used square footage for Willow, 180 Willow, it comes out to $113,206.
480
What,
Willow.
according to square footage of a house that's larger than 624.
180 Willow was a house that she had appealed in the last board meeting,
Mhm.
and she had consented.
Yeah, I accepted that
What?
value on that.
Oh, consensus of value on 180 Willow. Okay. All right. So, this was originally, praised at 225,906. It was reduced to 150,558. Our opinion of value was 139,500. Is that value changed?
It has changed. When, I see the value, what they, valued my house at by the size of it and compare it to the size of the one at 624 Willow, 624 Vicksburg Road.
All right, so what do you have to document? Looks like,
I mean, how do you arrive at a price with one house is, I mean, they're saying they're both brick homes. And they are typically, one is 254 square feet larger than the other ones. And the one that's smaller than the original one that I compared it to, the 180 is, how do you arrive at a price that's that different?
So, the price action here that you're seeing, Ms. Paget, is a matter of condition. So we grade these homes on a quality basis as well as.
$75.
So the house you're referring to on 185 is actually in, fair condition. It was built in 1976, so there's a slight, little bit more depreciation on that house. 624, Vicksboro Road is actually an average condition. We declared that to be an average condition, 1983, so it's actually less depreciation.
No, it was built in 1977, 1978. It won't built in 1983.
That's what the tax record would indicate.
Well, tax record's wrong.
It was built when?
Excuse me?
You said it was built
It was built in 77 or 78.
1978.
1977, 1978.
Ms. Hester?
Can I ask you? So y'all lowered the price of this house, if I'm not mistaken, to 150,000, is that right?
Yes, sir, from
Yeah.
225. It was 225.
And they lowered it to 150?
Yes.
And you agreed that it's 139,500, is that what
That's
we're?
what I had suggested until I seen what they, for the
And
square foot for 180 Willow Oak Drive.
so that's about $10,000, is that right? So how much is that in tax? $75?
$71.
You're sitting here for $75.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you're sitting here for $75.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I need some evidence to support that again.
I mean, the evidence is, I feel like speaks for itself compared to the size, the number of bathrooms. The year built is almost the same, not but a year or two difference.
Okay. All right, so they produced us comps that indicate they've got comps ranging from anywhere from $134 to $141, $142 almost, and yours is assessed at $130.92 per square foot.
I see that I see that.
Okay, so unless you can produce us some evidence, then we need to move forward.
Well, I don't have nothing but the size of 180.
Okay,
It's larger and more bathrooms, and it's valued at a different price than
So
one
what
that's
about-
smaller with one bathroom.
So did you look at the comp at 254 Vicksburg Road?
252 Vicks.
It's the assessor comp two that's on that page. No, well,
yeah,
that's not the same page. but-
that's right. You're right.
Do you have something showing 254 Vicksburg Road?
254. I do have it, but I left it back there to see.
It's it's right there on the same street, very close to your house. And on this one, this house is a little older than your house. It has, more square footage than yours.
And what's that again? Is that my comp or Mr. Atkins'
It's the
comp?
assessor's comp.
It's at 254 Vicksburg Road.
Okay, I see it.
And actually that, price is a lot more, over almost 20 thousand more than yours. Did you
I
have
see
a
it.
chance to look at that?
Well, I'm strictly basing it off of
So you
size
can-
and bathrooms.
Huh?
They're about the same condition. I'm strictly basing it off the size of the house, the square footage of the house, and the number of bathrooms.
So actually in the square footage about the same.
It's, so that one's larger and it's got a larger lot.
Yeah, but it's at 170 and yours is.
So how do you get corrected what year it was built? How do I get that corrected?
So then it's built in a different year.
And just present it to who?
Yeah, that is-
Hmm. So it should be quiet. Yeah.
Okay.
So just present it to Aaron? Or what I need to present it to? Okay,
Can I put in a motion?
You can.
Put in a motion, we go ahead and receive what's already been done.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the value of 150,558. We have a second.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion?
None?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The value is 155,58. And we have probably 03010, which is Lehman and Williams Street.
yes,
Okay.
that is a lot that has when it's torrential rain, it floods terrible. He went out and took a look at it and noted it. And there is, like he said, there's 3 ditches that, that takes the rain. He didn't also mention the 3 hills that the rain comes down from. And he was there on October 31st and didn't see any wet, soggy spots, but we had been about 40 days with no rain, so I wouldn't expect to see no wet, soggy spots. I really don't, that land ain't really worth nothing, but I've been paying on it at a rate of $3,500 a year.
So you made an evaluation, you changed the valuation to 4252?
Correct. We did adjust it by 10% to a -10% adjustment on the land for wetness, considering the ditches that surround the property.
Okay, but the rest of the lot has a buildable site?
As best I can tell, I reached out to Corey Williams with the city on 2 different occasions. I've not been able to get any follow-up, anything back, so I can't confirm that it does or it doesn't. What I will say is that it's definitely intentionally ditched and drained. The roads drain onto this property on purpose. There's a grate so that as it runs down the road, it hits the grate and drops off onto the property. And so they construct a pretty substantial ditch system that channels it around and off the property. That's why there's a reduction. But also in the center, it's built up and it seems quite solid. It's hard to tell unless you go out with different weather conditions. If you only go out after rain, everything's soggy. If you only go out when there's no rain, everything's dry.
That's like my
But-
front yard.
Say again.
That's like my front yard when it rains.
So to me, it looks like it would be buildable without, unless there's some concern from the city. I reached out to Mr. Williams. I haven't gotten any follow-up, so I'm assuming it's buildable.
I rather, because we only looking at 0.25. I would like to know for sure whether or not you could even build something on that small, because that's a very small lot and you're gonna have setback lines and all that. I don't even know if you could build something on that lot. So I would like for you to verify whether or not she could pass code to even build something on that lot.
Generally, a pre-existing lot is buildable.
If they leave that, if his
I
grandfather.
will say
in.
there are many lots in that area that are of identical size. So the concern I would have is that drainage problem specifically. If somebody designed it to take that drainage, I'm thinking the city perhaps. And so I'm really hoping they can tell me definitively. I'd love for them to weigh in, but without that, I don't know.
Well, I mean, in years past, you had what was called the shotgun houses. And on those lots, you had those very small lot size houses. But then as years went by, the codes and setback lines and all that varied. So where you could build a shotgun house back in the day, you couldn't necessarily build it back then. But of course, now you have what's called little houses.
Now we call them
So
tiny
now,
houses.
so now we're back at the point of based on the city of Henderson and their ordinance and all that, and zoning, you know, and can you build a house on that size lot here in Vance County?
And this parcel is in some.
Uh-huh.
While you could build a shotgun style bungalow style house, you
Uh-huh.
could build a traditional ranch house as well.
2.25 acres, that's all you need to build.
Huh?
2.25 acres, that's what you need.
What size lot do you need to build a house on in the city?
It depends on the zoning, but generally most lots that are existing are generally allowed to build on.
R6 zone,
Hmm.
structure, as well, so square footage wise, you should be able to build, however, it would be frontage, up to the frontage. In this particular case, I would assume, where you do have 50 foot of frontage, 59 foot, if I'm not mistaken, when we measured it, last.
Now, is that from road tip to property line? Or did you, allow for the road that's owned by the city or the state?
You've got 59 feet on one side, and you've got 190.
4 acres, it's 20.
And are you
2,000
allowing
square
for the
feet.
state, the part of the ditch that the city owns?
I'm just trying to the.
July better or no?
the ditch
Lord.
itself. But I would think that the ditch.
In R8?
In that.
They just changed.
This is R6. This is R6.
I can't hear Dan.
This is R6.
This changed in all of them.
Change all of them.
Does that mean?
Zoning had, the city of Henderson has changed their zoning requirements in R8 and R6 and all lower, if I'm not mistaken, the last 30 days.
So that means you've got to have more property to build. on?
Less.
Less property.
Less.
What is the width of the property?
Ma'am, I don't want to tell you something and be wrong. I'd much rather for you to check with the city of Henderson and verify whether you can build anything on it or not.
Okay,
And they will be glad to look at it and give you that information.
okay.
Have you been to the city council?
Excuse me?
Have you been to the city council?
You can come back and we might need.
So where they the ones raise your taxes 20%, not us?
No.
We need to leave it
We
open.
didn't raise it.
Okay, well, I'll have to take it to the city council then. But when I send it in, this is the appointment they give me to come to.
We're in the process of changing how the billing is sent out. Because the county sends out the billing throughout the whole county, city and county. But the city is the ones that set your bill. They don't want to raise you 20 cents, not the county.
So is that who I need to go see?
50,
Our tax bill last year for this property was $57.45, and this year's
50 cents. Man,
It's not worth even that amount, $3,500,
Can I put a
because
motion?
of the flooding.
Okay,
I put a motion to keep this the same.
we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed?
But yes, the city,
Excuse
the
me,
city.
the city.
That 50 cent is, they raised it.
Yeah, it ain't gonna break me, but that's the principle of the matter.
All right, looks like that's all we've got
Let's go.
of yours. Next, we have Crystal Ross.
Thank you.
Her appraisal was for a construction loan that she done. The person who did her appraisal sent her email and said it was October of 2021, so it is out of the schedule.
So we want to maintain at 244, 192. What would be the pleasure?
Do the same.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? All right. Angela Littlejohn. The recommendation is to maintain a value of 105, 522. The motion,
That we accept the
a second.
assessed value.
Is anybody else here?
One.
But we gotta go through them all anyway, so. Okay, so we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. William McCann Jr. 1032 W Road.
What's the case number?
This is case number 23. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Joanne McCann Wilder. And this property is owned by my brother. Well, we inherited it like 12 years ago. I have two brothers and I have this property. The property is located about 3/4 of a mile off the Dabney Road. There are two property owners that own the 3/4 of an acre, and then our property picks up from there. And it is a farm consisting of 78 acres, 78.5 acres. And it is hilly, it is got lots of valleys on it, and it is completely landlocked. The only path that it has to go to it is the one path, the existing path. It's not a state maintained road. It's not even a passable road. It is a one-lane road that goes down to this farm. We've asked for, we have an easement to cross the other two property owners' land, but we cannot get anything in writing saying, but we've not had any problems with them through the years. We have 6 to 8 acres of cleared land on the 78 acres. 6 acres of that is for tobacco. And we lease it to one of the property owners that adjoins our property. He has a big farm there, and so he comes on our land to do the tobacco. One year's tobacco, the next year's wheat, next year's soybeans, but we rotate the crops. But 6 acres is all that we have for producing anything. We get $450 a year for rent for that, which is way, way less than what the property tax is. And we just don't feel like that this rate is a good rate. The last appraisal we had was 86,000. This went up to 190,000. Now that's over $100,000 in this time frame. And we just feel like that's excessive. And we're thinking maybe, well, one brother said 96 and one said 120. So, that's what I'm coming to.
Okay. You stated in your thing that the property has open fields and also is wooded. Do you have a forestry plan?
No.
That's something, if you could get your forestry plan, then this property could be in land use and it would significantly reduce your taxes. The value on this property, as you sat and listened all day today, is about half of what we've looked at today. I understand you've got some restricted access and it appears they've taken that into consideration. But, if you could get a forestry plan on that property, then you could do that and put it in land use. And we would approve the land use and then your taxes would,
Well, through the years, we've not had a lot of interest in the land.
Yeah.
Except for the timber. And we know that when you come in and cut the timber off, all they want to do is clear cut. And then it leaves your land just looking, just like it's awful looking. So we have not considered any kind of timber removal.
You don't have to cut the timber.
Nope.
You can leave the timber there as long as you want, as long as it qualifies. There's no restriction about how long you keep it there. So don't feel like because you put it on the forestry program, you gotta cut it. That's not right.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's what
And I wanted to make sure too, the part, if it's redone, and this is for my benefit too and yours. If you go back to forestry now and you, as far as growth is concerned, what's the rate cut to now?
Right,
650.
50 or 60%?
Well, 650 an acre.
if you're in forestry.
If you're in forestry, so that would reduce your taxes significantly. On that. But you can get a forestry plan. And, the county, they can help you, they can assist you in putting that together, and get you in touch with the right person. If you can do that by the end of the year, we could get you fixed for this year also.
And they will come in and also make sure that you keep it, help you, if you got to do the forestry thing and you got the pines on it to do it, they will come in and make sure that its undergrowth is burned out, fixed too. And even if you went out and sold the timber, whoever you do it can sew it back in timber and it stays in that rotation.
So woodland PUD is $260 an acre, and then agriculture or open land would be 645.
645. So it'd reduce your value, your taxable value to 260, you said?
260 for woodland, correct.
For woodland. So on all but, you said 8 acres of land, you'd have 70 acres that would be valued at 260 per acre in land use as far as your taxable value. And then that other 8 acres would be at 650. So that would significantly reduce your taxes on that property.
Okay, so we're not gonna have any consideration for this then.
The value, I mean,
We're not gonna decide today. We would, I wouldn't decide. I would want her to check with that forester to see if it's
Well,
possible.
well, it's the value of the property is outside of that. And so other than just,
Okay.
you don't have any appraisal or anything like that.
I have what Mr. Atkins sent me.
Okay,
The only thing on that he didn't have on that was that the land was, it was landlocked.
and we have one that was landlocked, comp number 3.
Right, that was, but he didn't have that listed on our land as being landlocked.
Okay,
In the system, it is coded as landlocked. I left the landlocked coding in place, but it was described as private access because of the dirt path from. So in the content sheet, I describe it as private access, but in our software, it is marked as landlocked. But I think it appropriate, she says that she doesn't have a written easement,
I don't.
and so I left it as landlocked.
okay.
That's probably appropriate.
So you valued it based on it being landlocked.
I did.
Did you take into consideration the topography that she's explained here?
She's got topography and she's got irregular shape.
And it's got a lot of, well, it's got a lot of, I guess it's a lot of gullies and hills and it's.
Okay.
Not.
But I think if you'll do that, I mean, I think the value is probably pretty close to what the land is valued at. And then from there, if you can get it in the land use program, that'll significantly reduce your taxes.
Well, I guess one of my issues is it just went up so much.
Land went
That's,
crazy. I
that's
mean, all real estate.
$100,000.
Yeah, we went up, I think on average, the county, in properties went up about 74%. We had some that went up 200% and 300%. So it's just depending on it, and that area seems to be a strong market.
But also, this was not a increase from one year to the next. These values are 8 years old.
Exactly.
So that coupled with the tremendous increase in value over COVID, that's where it's at.
Well, I was kind of basing it on the 2016 evaluation, and that was appraised then at 150. And I appealed it, and they came down to the 86. So, you know, that was sort of what I was basing my, my price.
I promise you, if you put that on the market for $200,000 today, you wouldn't make it out of this room with someone who would accept that.
Well,
Fine.
no one knocking at our door.
Making the move.
Okay, all right. Well, thank.
Dan, is there, in her situation with going back into timber thing, as far as this case is concerned, do we continue, John, what do we do? We continue this, or, and then she goes back and talk? What do you think?
We maintain her value as what we vote to maintain her value. And then she gets with a forestry plan. And as long as she gets that to us before the end of December, we can approve it. And on our consent agenda, would we approve exceptions?
That's correct, but in all honesty, you probably won't get a forester
No.
that quick from the forestry service. You'll have to go outside and find a private forester who can provide this for you, because my experience is those folks are usually booked out several weeks.
They're
And how
back up.
expensive would you think that would be? To get a private forester?
I have no idea.
I think.
I checked on just getting an appraisal for the farm, and it was like $1,400.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much different than an appraisal. This is someone who is a licensed forester that will come out, put together a plan for you, which is a requirement to get the deferred use through the tax office. But either way, I'm not sure what the cost is, but over multiple years, you definitely recoup your savings.
I think my last conversation. Go ahead.
You could probably show her samples of what a forestry plan looks like if she wants to come into the office.
And you could actually, if you've got a sample, you can actually do your own forestry plan without the assistance of someone, without the assistance of a forester. If it's your property, you can do your own forestry plan.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
And then motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
And there are other exemptions you may want to look into.
It's not a residence on the property.
No, I was just telling her there are other exemptions that, since she and her brother own the property. I don't know if he's a veteran or I know they're elderly.
That's just on residential lots.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It got it got a house on
That is.
it.
Okay.
It got a house on it.
It's this land here. Yes. Think where that is. Do something. All right, next we have case number 24, Jane B. Clayton.
Was here about. We had him waiting on him.
Get a phone number.
I'm okay. Scheduling him December 9th.
Let's reschedule case number 24 and case 25 because they were here on time today and someone else was not. We didn't have a quorum at 1 o'clock. Oh, strip that. That's a barn. That's a barn. All right, so we're gonna continue case 24 and 25. That leaves us with case number 29, Joseph Buchanan. Okay, case number 29. 24 and 25, we're gonna remain open. Case 29 is Joseph Buchanan, 630 Deerfield. His value on appeal was 116,071. It was updated to 108,270. There was no value provided for appeal. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Hey, sir.
No motion, do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Okay, so that one goes there too. That's all we have on our list. Have I missed anything? Okay.
got two coming back for.
So now we go to our consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
All right, we have 142 on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any other business to come before us today?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe we voted to maintain the values of the original 5 or 6 that were read off saying
Okay.
they were gonna, I believe, consent.
Number 2, number 5, number 26, number 27, number 28, number 30, number 31, and number 32. What would be the pleasure? of the
Except for number 2. Number 2, we continued. That was Community House Road.
Okay, wait a minute now.
It ain't but three that was continued.
5, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, and 32 is what I had as the ones that were originally.
You had 5 what?
5, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32.
Make a motion, we accept the valuations.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept those valuations. We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Those are all approved. And so end of the day today, we continued 24 and 25. And we continued 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, motion to adjourn. Thank y'all. We're done.